I am receiving comments from Trump supporters, which is to be expected. All of those comments received so far from persons who are obviously Trump supporters contain no substantive information and certainly no accurate information and reveal a lot about the nature of the person commenting. Hurling personal insults is how Trump supporters respond to fact-based narratives. I am going to leave remarks that make disparaging comments about me. When judging Trump's maturity level, his fitness to be president, and his personality characteristics, it is important to put aside one's political beliefs on any policy issue and party affiliation. None of those personality characteristics that are important have anything to do with political ideology or party affiliation. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything in this video other than requesting that ideological beliefs be put aside when making judgments about Trump's character. The task is simply to apply what an adult has learned from experience in interacting with people. And then if you can do that successfully, and many will not ever be able to do it, ask yourself, what are Trump's personality characteristics? I have arrived at several judgments based on objective and analytical observations that I have derived from reading his tweets, his speeches, and evaluating his conduct over his entire life. I am a highly analytical and rational person who bases judgments on facts. I am about to summarize some of my conclusions, and it is rare for a day to go by without Trump confirming one or more of those conclusions as true. I agree with Mick Mulvaney that Trump is a, quote, terrible human being, end quote. No other conclusion is possible, in my opinion. Trump is shameless. This is particularly evident in his self-promotion that started with the Art of the Deal book published in 1987, that the ghostwriter later termed a work of fiction. His tax returns already revealed that he was in deep financial trouble when that book was published, and that is summarized in a New York Times article titled, quote, Decade in the Red, Trump tax figures show over $1 billion in business losses, and that was published on May 6, 2019. Now, this statement that I'm about to read is based on Trump's tax returns, and I know that many of his supporters would view that as fake news or something coming from a deep state or liberal conspiracy or anything other than a fact, which they are. Quote, the numbers show that in 1985, Mr. Trump reported losses of $46.1 million from his core businesses, largely casinos, hotels, and retail space and apartment buildings. They continue to lose money every year, totaling $1.17 billion in losses for the decade. End of quote. His core businesses lost more than $250 million in 1991 and 1992, which were more than twice as much as any other taxpayer in those years. In his 1995 tax return, it is undisputed that the extremely stable genius reported a loss of $915,729,293. A loss that I would submit is not consistent with being a genius businessman. No wonder he refused to produce his tax returns, as other presidential candidates had before him. Trump is a mean-spirited person. Just look at his comments about people who have worked for him or who have engaged in even the mildest criticism of his spoken words or action. A factually accurate criticism is likely to cause even a more venomous Trump reaction. Trump is now and has always been during his entire adult life a jerk. His behavior, tweets, and speeches at rallies can frequently be described as coming from an immature juvenile, something that an adult would be ashamed to see in their child still in grade school. He is clearly impulsive and speaks and acts based on a thought that pops into his brain with no restraint. Never a good trait for a president. He thinks that he knows everything when that is clearly not the case, not even close. His mind is thoroughly muddled with reality creations, filled with an array of demonstrably false information that he will repeat as true over and over and over and over and over again. And if he actually believes that the false and misleading statements that he utters are true, then that may even be more troubling in a president than simply repeating false information, knowing that it is false, in an effort to easily manipulate the willfully ignorant who studiously avoid contact with accurate and reliable information and dismiss it as fake news when there is some accidental contact with it. Trump is unwilling to learn. No amount of reliable evidence will convince Trump to change his opinion about anything. That is an unfavorable personality characteristic of a president. He is without question a narcissist. His political speech is demagogic rather than factually informative. Over the years, he has frequently provided so many false and misleading information that he has lost all credibility. I'm referring in part to the Washington Post documenting over 30,000 false and misleading statements made by Trump during his 4 years as president. I refer to people who continually make false and misleading statements on that scale as having negative credibility, meaning that the most appropriate response of a listener is to assume that the statement is either false or at best misleading, unless there is clear and convincing real evidence that the statement is true. And that is an undesirable characteristic to have in a president. Most likely, the statement is being made as a form of manipulation of those who do not have accurate information. Trump lacks empathy for others, a pathology which is common among narcissists as extreme as Donald, who is clearly suffering from what psychologists refer to as a narcissistic personality disorder. He accuses other people of bad conduct when offering no proof, and he accuses others of bad conduct without proof in order to deflect criticism of the same or similar conduct he has committed. I'm not aware of a single positive human personality trait that Donald has, other than probably his affection for his children, but it's hard to know if that is even real.